you are heading to the polls this fall. Premier Danielle Smith says Albertans will have a chance to vote on 9 referendum questions in October, many of them targeting immigration and provincial powers. Mark Villani has more on the announcement and why some warn it could deepen divisions across our province.
In a provincial address, Premier Danielle Smith says rapid population growth is creating serious pressures on public services like schools, hospitals, housing, and infrastructure.
Not every newcomer is a net contributor to the provincial revenues that fund those services, and that's the crux of the challenge facing us.
And immigration is one of the things the province will ask Albertans about in a series of 9 referendum questions October 19th. They include whether Alberta should take more control over immigration levels, restrict eligibility for some programs, or charge fees to certain non-permanent residents. But critics say the questions are just a scapegoat for problems that could have been solved with better planning.
She just promised not to make cuts to the public sector and to run a large deficit and to give a tax cut in exchange. So somebody has to be blamed.
She's stoking the flames and raising the temperature, and that is the opposite of leadership.
Alberta separation isn't a referendum question yet, but some separatists call all of this meaningless. Public Interest Alberta says blaming low oil prices and former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's immigration policies is just passing the buck.
And now we're hearing Premier Smith and the UCP say, this is a shock to the system we couldn't have expected. It just doesn't really pass the sniff test.
The referendum ballot will also ask broader constitutional questions, including whether the federal Senate should be abolished, if provinces should be able to opt out of federal programs without losing funding, and whether provinces should have more authority in selecting judges.
A vast majority of those federal appointees did have political contributions. We try to avoid that here in this province.
Legal experts say however people vote, Alberta has little constitutional power.
Will enable the Premier to enter into negotiations with the federal government and probably, almost certainly actually, other provinces to try to get a constitutional amendment.
Meanwhile, the Alberta Coalition of Defence Council, which represents 400 lawyers in the province, says it's all just an attack on the rule of law.
This is how fascism starts, and this is why it's so alarming right now.
But Premier Smith says she's leaving it up to Albertans to decide their future.
They're frustrated that they've never had a say in any of this.
Mark joins us from McDougall Centre tonight. So, Mark, what will this exercise actually cost taxpayers?
Well, Tara, that's been the big question on a lot of Albertans' minds. We actually posed that question to Elections Alberta this morning, and they did get back to us. They say that a final price tag has not yet been set, but officials say the referendum, it's expected to cost just about as much as a provincial election would. For context, the 2023 election cost us $36.7 million. Now, the agency says factors like the number of questions as well as logistics will ultimately drive up that final cost, so it's all still to be determined. But planning already underway for this vote. It is coming up in mid-October. The NDP says, though, hey, if we're going to have such a vote, why not just call an election instead? Tara.
Okay, Mark, thank you.